Just me? Hi, guys.
Just Tom and Rich. Welcome to the.
I wondered where you were.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the our first crack at some international live handicapping stuff, and we're off to a good start so far. Hopefully, our picks are much better than that. But from now today through Friday, Tom and I are going to be covering the Royal Ascot races, those that have a purse of £100,000. You know, I wanted to make sure I didn't say dollars.
Well, there is a Group 1 that's 65,000, so we may want to think about that one.
On what day?
I think it's Thursday.
Well, we'll have until Thursday to do that. And right now, it is just Tom and I that are on the show. We also invited some English personalities like Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones, Piers Morgan. I don't know if he's working anymore from what I've read lately. We invited Elizabeth Hurley, Sir John Ferguson, Wayne Rooney, noted horse racing fans that, well, we didn't get so much as a polite no. So if you're watching, any of you, feel free to reach out to me at gtsrichb@gmail.com if you'd like to join us for future shows, because it will make you more famous. Well, so much for English politeness and at least not getting back to us. But at least in honor of it all, I have my I have my Rolling Stone shirt on, so
we're ready. I wore the Delmar shirt. I figured may as well be a little tropical.
Might as well be. It's kind of tropical where we are in Chicago today.
Oh, it's pleasant out. Very pleasant.
And the cat just walked across the back. Good thing it's not a black cat.
No, actually, it's a black and white cat. So I apologize for my background. I know it sucks, but it's the basement. I was hoping it would white out a little more in the back, but it didn't.
Well, it's better than my prison window.
Yeah, I've really become very fond of that window.
Yes, it's I'm locked in my dungeon as well. It's actually as I mentioned before, it's a storage locker where I have so much stuff in my basement that I moved into one room, and soon I'll be setting up my studio, and it maybe it'll look a little bit better, and the prison window will go bye-bye. But in any case,
we can cross our fingers.
Yeah, that hopefully, like any other project, you think it's going to be done like that, and it just drags on and on and on.
Are they?
Yeah, for sure. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about, because if people who watch the show regularly when we cover horse racing here in the States know that I'm not that familiar with the horse racing scene outside of the U.S. Tom is our international expert. That's why we have the show with him. And I can tell you for sure, Tom, we'll have some long shots that will hit during this week. And I'll have some.
I'm going to certainly try. That's for sure. But the first day, it could be a little chalky.
Well, I think based upon the way I handicap, I found a lot of information. Tom was cool enough to send along some stuff from Timeform. Yeah, Timeform. I guess it's what they use to look at the international races. So hopefully between Tom and I, we'll be able to get some picks. But I'm going to defer to Tom on almost everything. And then at the end, I'll throw my picks in there just as something you can probably fade.
Well, and I'm going to add, people should look at this stuff and the stats for future Breeders' Cup racing or racing of these horses that come over here. A good example was the Just a Game in the Belmont, which you and Sean did very well at because both foreign horses won. And it just is really helpful to be able, especially if you want to handicap those races. Think of Order Australia and what he paid last year. And he's running in our first race, and that will lead us right in.
Yep, that'll lead us right in. But before we get to that, quick question. You brought the Breeders' Cup, the Ascot, the Royal Ascot. In terms of like the American equivalent, is this like the Breeders' Cup, or is it more like just a series of Kentucky Derby days?
This is the biggest meet of the season. There is Glorious Goodwood. There's the British Championship Day. The biggest race in Europe is really the Arc de Triomphe at Paris Longchamp.
Okay.
That's the one. Some of the horses we're going to be talking about, not necessarily today, but certainly on Wednesday, that are going to be looking towards the Arc. And usually you get a rather interesting group in there. And we saw Enable come over from the Arc, won the Arc, and came over here and won the Breeders' Cup. at Churchill Downs. So that was the first time that double was ever done, but she was quite a mare. So,
well, as people who watch our show know, as I've said before, when we're making horse picks here at home and there's an international horse and Tom is like on it, I say, don't walk to the window, run to the window, because Tom knows his stuff. And that's why we're here to provide hopefully some value with the Royal Ascot for the next 5 days. We'll be starting at 11:30 Central Time. That's where we are in Chicago, 12:30 Eastern Time every single day. And although we're only covering the races with 100,000 pounds or more, Tom does have a full listing of his picks, I think, for the entire card, right, Tom?
Yes, with the handicap or listed or a stake, those are the opportunities for trainers to win at Royal Ascot. Maybe not, their horse is not quite good enough to be in these group races, but we're going to see some big fields in some of these races. They are limited on how many they'll run, but we could see 30 plus horses in a couple of these races, and they are excellent betting opportunities. And you want some prices, you can see the cat behind me. Yeah. You'll get some prices on these races. So they are fun to try, but it'll require a little work.
Well, we'll consider the cat and my Rolling Stone shirt our good luck pieces for now. And if we win, I'll wear the shirt every day. I'll sleep in it. I'll exercise in it. I'll shower in it. And then we'll invite the cat to go every day. So let's get into the races. We'll start with race number 1, which is the Queen Anne Stakes. It's got a purse of, I don't know if they converted it to dollars or not, but $548,000 or pounds. They get started right away. They don't build up, Tom. I noticed that they just come out and let's get running.
Our first 4 races are all group races, and the first one is maybe one of the best races of the day in terms of the quality of the field. There's really one outstanding horse in here, and that's Palace Pier. He's only lost once, and he is going to be the huge favorite. The issue that he may run into is that he's going to be a little devoid of speed in this race. He likes to get up front and loaf or be close to it. And like last race, he made a bit of a mid run and then blew everybody away. He is very talented, very good miler. Certainly probably the best miler in Europe right now. So I think this is going to be a jockey's race because we'll see what happens up front. Many of these horses have not raced on a good to firm course. So, and it has been warm, relatively speaking. I mean, it's in the 70s in England, and that's warm for them. And very little rain. They are watering at Royal Ascot, and we'll provide a link if you want to look at race conditions, because that can be helpful to how the going is. And also remember, this is a straight mile. So
no turns.
This is no turns. This is just they started. This is the longest race at that straight mile, at the mile at Royal Ascot, and there's charts out there to show you where they start the different races, and so you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at it. It's not like here where you got two. At Keeneland, of course, we had two turns, and they're sharp turns, relatively speaking, considering what you see here.
Yeah,
it's hard to get past Palace Pier. There's just not a lot, he's just really good. And but I tried. I like to bless him. I think he's at prime for a good effort. He likes this kind of surface. He's done well on it in the past. His form appears to be good. So you gotta put him in there.
So bless him as number 2.
Yeah, I put him as number 2.
Again, but
he's
also number 2 in the program, though, right?
Yeah. Well, the program and the starting gates, of course, are different. So the draw they have, it's listed. If you pull it up, you'll see what your draw is. Make sure If
When you bet
if you
them?
are going to bet, make sure you look carefully because it could be something different. I use Keeneland Select. Other people, whatever you guys use, great. But make sure that you're hitting the right one.
So if it's number 2 in the program, say, because I use Brisnet, I use Brisnet.com, and they're great. I would suggest if you want to buy some past performance, maybe not for international races, but for US, Brisnet.com is what I use. A lot of good data in there. But in Brisnet, for example, Bless Him is number 2.
Yeah, and that should be the right, correct.
So when you're betting, number 2 will be the right number.
Yes.
Okay, but just double check to make sure. So
yeah.
So far, Tom is on number 6 and number 2.
And I did put Order of Australia in there. It's the Breeders' Cup Mile winner. Drew the extreme outside post, the Breeders' Cup, and got a masterful ride and beat Circus Maximus, which was the best miler at the time in Europe. And he just had a fabulous run, and he paid a fabulous price to go with it. And the thing that I have to think about him there is that it was very firm going at Keeneland.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a firm course, and this may be just to his liking. He may, when he went to Hong Kong, it's a little deeper track. It's a little softer than what he probably wants to run on. You're not going to get a big price on him, but
nice 5-1. It looks like in the morning line.
Yeah, I saw 5-1, 8-1, depends on what bookie you're looking at. But if I think the firm course may give him an opportunity here to pull an upset. He certainly did it in the Breeders' Cup. And one thing we should all keep in mind when we're looking at the English racing versus the stateside racing, my feeling is a lot of these tracks will scratch off the turf if they see a raindrop. And that's, there are no dirt courses per se at like Royal Ascot. We have all weather and there's all weather and turf at some of the courses, but they don't make they don't scratch right off those turf races, because what are they going to do? Usually what happens is they call it abandoning the meet. They'll cancel the meet if the course is too dangerous. Mm-hmm. We put them on the dirt. Well, to me, I would like to see more racing on yielding courses or slow ones, because you're going to get different results than these hard, firm turf courses that we are traditionally used to.
That we're accustomed to, yeah.
Man, you don't see that. You don't see that in Europe.
One thing you mentioned is depending upon the bookie, what price you're going to get for Order of Australia. I know here we probably are going to get uniform odds, I would suspect, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's an international pool that we go into, and one of the bookies over there, I think it's Lambrook, is the one that handles it.
But if you are watching from overseas, then there are other options where you can get different odds for different horses. You were telling me a little bit about that before, and I think that's important, Tom, because if you like a horse, if you can get it to 8-1 instead of 5-1, why would you take anything other than 8-1?
Well, and if you were to make a bet today, you may get 8-1, and then it could drift down. But you bought it at 8-1, so you get the 8-1 price
here.
No, in England.
So fixed odds, but when you bet it.
Well, when you bet it, you get fixed odds. You don't. So you like something and it's 8-1, and it ends up going off 5-2. Well, you get the 8-1 price.
That's a pretty good deal. Maybe people ought to consider some Bitcoin and then like William Hill account in England or something. I don't know. So that's your
not legal. So we have to be careful with that one.
No, I'm talking about people who don't live here.
Yeah. Exactly.
I would never, ever encourage anybody who lives here to do anything other than to follow your state rules and guidelines. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I get in enough trouble in my house as it is. I don't need to get trouble outside my house.
That either.
So is that it for you? Number 6, number 2, and number 5, or do you have?
Again, I can't get past Palace here. He's just so tough right now.
Tough to beat. Yeah, I have Palace Pier as my top pick. That's number 6 as well. 1/7 of 8, as you mentioned, 4 or 5 at the distance. And when he wins, he tends to win by a big margin. That's usually a pretty positive. I have a little different take for the rest of the race. Number 9, I have Regal Reality, I think that is, taking a big step up in class. But based on purse, in the money, 7 out of 8 at the distance. The trainer and the jockey hit at a really pretty good rate, 25%, I think, together. So I do think this horse probably has some upside. And number 11, Top Rank, is my third pick. Winner of 6 and 9, 5 and 8 at the distance. Recent form is third best in the field, according to the way I measured on my Excel sheets. And it's tied for the third best, what is it, the time form that you sent us, right?
Yes,
time form speed rating. And then finally, I have my fourth pick, Order of Australia, although he does seem like he throws some clunkers in there sometimes.
Probably more than the owners appreciate, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I would agree with Top Rank. I looked at him. He certainly kind of has a chance in here. I just don't know if he's quite to the level of Palace Pier. He's the numbers you have to be a little careful on purse numbers, because the purses in England are depressed pretty much. They're not paying real well right now. And in Ireland, they're a little better. In France, they're a lot better. So if you've got a horse coming from France and you see a big purse number, you see a big earnings number, it's because the purses are a lot better in France.
No, that explains it. Well, that's why we brought Tom on. He's our international expert. I would never been able to tell you about the track conditions and the running straight, and then sometimes not running straight, and why they jumble up the post positions. And of course, I would have no clue about the purse, but hopefully we've made the right picks. I would fade my play Tom's.
Ascot pays decently, so that's part of the reason why you see such big fields here, is because this is good money.
All right, so we'll move on to race number 2, and that is the Coventry Stakes. This is for the babies, the 2-year-olds. Not a lot of racing experience for most of the horses in this race, so I think that this is probably an opportunity maybe to catch a noted Tom Price. What do you think about that? Are we going to get 22-1 here, or maybe more, maybe less?
Well, before we do that, let's talk about one of the wagers that is up on the Bristnet that is called a swinger.
Okay.
Because I don't think a lot of stateside bettors know what that is.
Well, we probably have a different understanding of the term swinger.
Well, swinger, yeah. Well, a swinger bet is your horse can run first and second, like in Exacta. Can run first and third, and you get paid. So, and second and third. So you get multiple opportunities for first, second, and third. And so you can get some decent, okay payoffs sometimes, and sometimes you're lucky to get $1.50 back. But that if you want to try something a little different, we don't have it in this country, but they do in Europe, and they also have it in Hong Kong. The swinger is kind of a fun bet to make. To see, sometimes you don't get the winner, but you get second and third.
So it has to finish first. So is it kind of like betting it across the board, or how is it different?
Yeah, essentially. Think of it as an Exacta with all the horses. If you box 3 horses, you get all those horses. But you get payoffs if you don't have the first horse, but you have second and third, you get paid.
Oh, you still get paid. Okay,
yeah.
So I get it. So it's kind of like gives you a little backdoor way to get in and
yeah.
possibly.
Well, you get first, third, second, third, first, second. So it's a neat little bet to play every once in a while. I like playing them. Sometimes they drive me crazy because I have, of course, the 4th horse.
Yes.
I mean,
it's like that in pick
we all
first.
do that more times than we care to think about.
Yeah, way too many times. So Coventry, it's a group 2. So is a group 2 the equivalent of Macy of what our grade 2 would be here, or
yeah?
How does that work? Okay.
Yeah, they have their classification like we have with the graded stakes. The British Horse Racing Authority sets or whatever body sets that, like we do here, the graded stakes committee here, and they do change them. Like we do here. So sometimes what you think is a group 1 race the quality of the field is not quite up to snuff, and they will make changes.
So this is 6 furlongs. So if a mile is straight, I imagine 6 furlongs is straight.
You bet.
Yeah.
Great race.
It'd be kind of odd if they turned in 6 furlongs, but not at a mile.
Be different.
Yeah. Well, spice things up a little bit. So in this race is one of those big fields that you talked about. I think there's 17 horses in this one.
Yeah.
That's a big field.
And I think we'll see them all go.
So who do you like?
Well, I know this will sound like a Chicago person, but I picked Go Bears Go.
Ah, yes.
He won first out at Ascot. I think they may have a good horse. His mare in Dubai produced some offsprings that are winners. Over the past 5 years, this trainer, David Lothmanen, has started 22 starts at Ascot. He has 2 wins. And he's one of those guys they've been, he's slowly but surely getting better and better. And but his record on the all-weather tracks is very, very good.
So this is in race 2?
Yeah, it's a race this Covington Straight, yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking for Go Bears Go in the program. What program number is that?
Oh, did I screw up and he's been taken out?
Yeah, I see Coffee Maker, Vintage Clarets, Tolstoy, the Organizer.
I screwed up.
Okay.
That's my fault.
That's all right. It happens.
Yeah, well, it was not intentional. Too bad he's not running. Certainly had the right name.
Yeah, perfect for you and I doing this show.
Yeah.
I was just confused a second. I'm like, all right, now they're running straight. I don't know what posts are coming out. And now they're putting horses in the race that aren't even on my sheets. What do I do with that one?
Yeah, I should have done a little better editing here. Sorry about that. I also did these a little farther in advance because I'm trying to keep up a little bit, and also watching some of the tips shows that are out there in England, and to help out. Most of them are available on YouTube. At the Races has got one that'll be on soon. The Sky Sports people have put one out there, and they're available. I think the Sky Sports one's about an hour and a half, and good stuff. So let's try again.
Okay, let's rewind. Coventry number 2. Let's try that again. So
yeah, we'll rerun this.
Who do we like now?
I like the John Gosden horse, which is, I'm going to read the number. It's number 5.
Number
and
5.
Come out of stall 11. It's Dubata. And John Gosden has made some changes, and he's got some new partnerships, partially with his wife, and he doesn't have a lot of 2-year-olds and a lot of 3-year-olds. He's got some, and we'll see later. There's some of his better horses, like Palace Pier, is trained by him, and this one he may sneak this one in, and I think we're going to see a price on this horse.
He's a first-time starter, so I would imagine that you will. And he's 12-1 on the morning line. You got nothing to work off of, so I would suspect, unless people are watching this show, and then they'll be hammering him down.
So this is a top trainer. That horse wasn't ready to run. He's putting him out there. 5 furlongs should be no problem. No Say Never is becoming a really nice sire. And we're seeing some really top-notch horses coming out of this sire. I just think he's going to have to run the race of his life to win, because there's some good horses in here. But I really think you got to watch out for this horse.
Number 5. All right. Yeah, so, and then 5. In your second pick,
my second pick, make sure it's running, is number 10, who's actually coming out of post 10, and that's Masatito. This is Donica O'Brien's trainee. That's Aidan O'Brien's son. He's had some pretty good success so far, and he continues to go very decent. They've gone very well its first outs. It's stepping up, but a lot of these horses are stepping up. And there's a lot of upside on this horse, on this 2-year-old. He failed as the favorite last time out. I wouldn't count that against him. You don't know if they were using that as a prep to try to see what they had, and they're going to bring it in, and we'll roll the dice and see what happens.
Well, to his credit, he did improve his final 6 furlong time. two different tracks, so I don't know how that really plays out, but he did improve his time by almost half a second, it looks like. So maybe a little bit of deceptive seconds.
And I took another John Gosden horse here, Tolstoy. It's going to be ridden by Frankie Dettori. Dettori has won Royal Ascot's claiming championship 3 years running, I think. So you always got to watch out for his horses.
Okay.
And you've got, it looks like it's a good starting post. Its first start was a decent race, and I just think that if his first time runner doesn't do it, maybe this one will be the one that gets there. And I'm going to comment on Coffee Maker, and because I'm not playing it, and it is the favorite.
Okay.
This is Wesley Ward's horse. The Wesley Ward with 2-year-olds at Royal Ascot is 0 for 18 at distances 6 furlongs or greater.
It's due. Gambler's fallacy. He's due.
He's due, but he wins the 5s. He doesn't win the past that distance, and hasn't. And I think at this point, I'm still leery about playing anything beyond that. 5 furlongs, no problem. Longer, I got to think about it with 2-year-olds. And I think the difference we'll see in the future is with Wesley, he is buying at the European auctions. So he's buying horses that may have more staying as the younger horses.
Okay.
We're bringing, because let's face it, Coffee Maker is going to go right to the lead. I mean,
in a short race.
Yeah, he's not. There's no looking back on this one. He's going to go right out. And it's just a matter of that is going to be able to get the distance, or is it just again too long at this point in her career to do that? That's why I looked elsewhere.
So in England, the sprints here, we have a definite speed bias. Is that not the same?
Huge speed bias.
Mm-hmm. Is there a speed bias in England as well? No. More of a closer. Every time I watch it, it seems like horses from the back win.
That's a big part of it, but of course, it's as pace makes race. Well, they tend to go slower up front, and where we don't. Yeah. Well, it was interesting. Many years ago, Gary Stevens is riding in France, and he commented on when he first got there, he was sending his horses out and was getting caught at the wire, and he learned real quick that doesn't work in France, and he had to ride much more measured races to be able to win there. So it's an adjustment for jockeys that haven't done it. And fortunately, Wesley Ward is using John Velasquez, and he does know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. The two have been a pretty dynamic duo this year. They've won, I think, they've raced together 36 times and have won 17 times. So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
when you think about it. Yeah,
that's
why he's over there. I mean, yes, Dettori's got a couple rides of Wesley Ward's, but because he's used him heavily in the past. But using Velasquez is certainly no downgrade.
Mm-hmm. So you have the 5, the 10, and the 15.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know anything about this international stuff. I just plug it all into my numbers, and
of course I picked one that isn't even running. So
yeah, so take that for it. I know that one won't win. So, but anyway, when I did my rankings, and I went through and did a little bit of other research online, I did have Coffee Maker on top. Then I have the 1 horse Angel Blue, 2 straight wins, should be right off the pace, but I don't know that plays. But both of the wins were by more than a length. That's a sign usually to me of a good solid horse. And it had a top last race form based upon the way we were measuring it. At least I am. I have the number 6, which is I don't know what the heck's that horse, that name, Ebdo or something like that. River. Let's look it up.
Yeah, Ebo River. He's
Ebro River.
If Coffee Maker wasn't in there, I think that one would be the favorite.
Okay. So yeah, this horse is 1, 2 in a row, and it seems like it's improving, which is another thing that I'm a big fan of, horses that are on the upswing. And then I have the Mesero number 10 too. So I have 17, 1, 6, and 10. Tom's got 5, 10, and 15, and go Bears go.
Well, he may still be running for all we know.
Yes.
Keep in mind on your Angel Blue, of course, she's coming in from France. Not top track. It's an okay track that she was running at. Keep that, and it was a much smaller field. So 7 runners versus 15 plus is a little different.
Well, if they're running in a straight line, I got to think it's a little bit different than turns here because it's probably a lot harder to get shuffled and get mixed up in traffic.
It depends on how they bunch up. Remember, they start in the middle of the course. So they don't start on the rail. They don't, so you're going to, it's unlike here. The only track here that does that is Kentucky Downs. And of course, they are an all turf and kind of an English European style track. So they'll move. They won't start that on the rail, but jockeys will make the decision on where to go and where they think the best going is on the turf.
The best path.
Yeah, and like anybody who goes there. Of course, these jockeys are out there in the morning walking the course, and sometimes with trainers too, to get some understanding of how that course is playing. And
like golf.
Yeah. And so you want to, so you got to always look at that a little bit, and that's why that draw is sometimes very important because they may not be on the best lane or the best, or be able to get the best position based on who's running in this race. Now, 2-year-olds, we don't know. I mean, we could see a 60-1 shot here win.
Probably will.
It would not be
Terry Allett. We'll Terry Allett.
Yeah.
So we'll move off to race number 3. That is the King's Stand Stakes. This is another short one, 5 furlongs on the turf. So based upon what you said on the last race, if Wesley Ward is in this race, then you would be more inclined to latch on to his horse.
And he's got a nice one in here. He's got Maven.
Okay. I think that's the number 5 horse. Is Maven one of your picks or maybe? Or
Maven, well, Maven's not my top choice. I went with Winter Power, and she is young. She's a 3-year-old. She's it's going to be tough for her. But last time she beat the boys at York, she's very, very capable. There's a lot of interest in her. She's just it appears to be keep going. My only issue with her is this good to firm course. Is she going to like that going? And I think she will, based on her breeding and based on the way she's been racing. She's very talented and is going to be. It should be right there. And you're not going to get big odds on her. I mean, there is one in here we'll talk about shortly, but she's probably second choice, maybe third choice, but I think second choice.
Yeah, 9-2 in the morning line. Yeah.
So she's very, very well thought of. I did take Maven as my second choice. And last out winner at Keeneland. He's the distance suits, the speed suits. Where he's going to be. He's going to be right on the lead, and he is. And like Extravagant Kid, who's in here too. They are going to be gunning it. John Velasquez knows the horse. He's ridden it before, so he just has to measure it up. And we also have to keep in mind that Maven won in France in a Group 3 race. So does have European experience, and certainly it's a step up to this level. But maybe speed is speed. And
right.
The straight, hard, firm course may be the key to this horse winning.
Well, he's an all or nothing horse so far. He's either wins or doesn't do anything else. So if he gets out to the lead and has it in a stretch, probably hard to pass. But if he doesn't get out to the lead, then I would imagine probably won't pass anybody.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think he's got to be on the lead.
He's 12-1 morning line, so you're getting good value. And again, John Velasquez and Wesley Ward, we talked about last race, have won 17 of their last 36 together. So that's that's out of the park numbers.
Yeah, and we have to talk about Batash, champion sprinter. He's been very, very good. He's 7 now. He likes to get to the lead and loaf. He's not going to do that in this race with Maven and Extravagant Kid in here, and I think some others are going to be right there too.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with playing him is that was last year was the first time he won this race.
Mm-hmm.
He's tried more than a few times and gotten beat by Blue Point before and so he's been in this race. Finally broke through and won this. During his layup, he injured himself on the farm, and he had to have surgery, and they put a pin in. So, I'm assuming he's been working okay, or they wouldn't put him in here. He's sound, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something you got to think about. Is he the same horse? Because he's not raced this year.
Yeah,
So,
he's been off since last August.
Yeah, 200 and something days off. So you're going to have to think about that. And as I said, with the speed up front in this race, it's not he's going to be pushed. And is it going to be that it's 5 furlongs, but there's a lot of speed up in this race, especially with the 2 U.S. based horses.
Yeah. He's been on an extended break a couple of times before, and he came back to win both of them. In fact, I think he won a race last year, I think, at Ascot after a big break like this. It was the King George or something like that. But so I don't know that the break hurts him, but it does. The medical difference could be a big difference.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little leery. And if he's going to be the huge favorite, like Palace Pier, another huge favorite. But is he the same horse?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a tough question. I do think the long layoff and now the information that you provided in terms of the horse being injured and then being repaired and now hitting the track, and they don't put any workouts. I imagine they do work them out somewhere else. They're not going to bring horse
most of them
after a year layoff
at Newmarket.
What's
that?
that?
They're done at their own facilities, or they're done at Newmarket. So there's a lot of training done in Newmarket.
Okay,
a lot of are based there.
Yeah, but there's no record of it that I see. So
no.
I can't imagine that they're going to bring the horse off surgery and a pin and all that stuff without any kind of workout. So I'm sure that the trainer, Charlie Hills, has his horse fit. But that long layoff, to me, is a definite worrisome sign that it's a vulnerable favorite. I also like the 16 Winter Power. I do like the 2-horse Patash. I mean, he's won, 6 of his last 8 races. Came off a long break a couple times and won, so shown that he can do that. I also like the 3 Extravagant Kid, but it sounds like maybe I should like Maven more. And number 12 is my odd pick from Tom. That's Liberty Beach. Tom, did you consider Liberty Beach, or are you going to do like Jose Ortiz did and just laugh at me?
No. Well, Ortiz laughed at my pick and finished 3rd in the Belmont. So if you're a triple player, trifecta player, you did need that horse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it here. I don't think it's got. I don't think it can close on this group, and that's why I tossed it.
All right. It has raced against the Patash a couple times too. It hasn't gotten close to it, but last time out did run one of its better races, so I should be better in a second start off of the break. Some traditional American handicapping. I don't know how that plays out.
That's more of American than it is European thinking. I think there is that case you can make, but I don't know at this level. I mean, and I say that also for American racing. Let's face it, there's some top horses that come off layoffs and win fairly easily in the graded stakes company. If you're talking about lower, the middle, the handicap level or allowance or claimers, I think they need a race or 2 before they're ready to go.
Yeah.
But at the top level in both countries, you got to think they're in there for a reason.
Oh yeah, the trainers know what they're doing. So now our last race that we're going to cover on our first day of the Royal Ascot is the race number 4. It's the St. James Palace Stakes. We break away from the sprints and go back to, again, a straight mile on turf. So those Wesley Ward horses are ones that Tom suggests you jump away from. But this race, I think, is wide open and offers a ton of betting value because it doesn't seem like the odds makers really have one horse in mind as their favorite. So I'm curious to see who you like, who I like, and we might have 7 or 8 different horses completely.
Oh, it's very possible. Remember, this is a mile, straight mile. This is for 3-year-olds, colts only. So there's
Mhm.
no fillies and mares like some of these other races we've seen. They can compete. Remember, Coffee Maker is running against the boys.
Mhm.
Um, I took Chendik as my top choice. He's won at the Group 2 and 3 level before. My question is the mile just too far for him? He's been mainly running at 7 furlongs.
That's the 3-horse.
Yeah, that's number 3. And I like the idea of the ideal track condition for him being firm. I think that's going to help him a lot. And I also think that he's anywhere near in the pace scenario, he's got a great chance to close and win this race. And I do think it's also they refer to them as each way bets. We don't have There's no show wagering in Europe. It's just win place.
Mm-hmm.
But you pay, the bigger the field, the farther down they pay. So
Okay.
you got a 40-horse field, they'll pay 5, maybe 6 pays. This one I think is a good each way bet. I think you're gonna get 8-1 on this horse.
He's 8-1 morning line.
Yeah, I think you're going to get that price. But I think it's a very good value. It looks like a really good spot for this horse. Yeah, it finished, 5th, but the rate, it ran into mile. I think it just needed a race at the mile, and I don't think they'd put them in here if they didn't think they had a chance to win at a mile.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Highland Avenue, who I liked a lot last time out.
The number 4 horse.
Number 4. He's run on some really crappy tracks. Heavy. He's done okay. He's going up big, and he's won a bunch. And after won 3 in a row and then finished second. But I think he's really going to like the going, and he's bred to this for this distance. I think he's going to be right there.
And this trainer, Charles Appleby, we learned a little bit about him on Belmont Day, and what he does here, it looks like he does there too.
Yeah, very much so. And they've expected big things out of this horse. I think and it has happened. Just not at the top level yet. So this is a really good opportunity for the horse to break out. Mm-hmm. My final choice here was Lucky Vega. And this is an interesting horse because this will be his last race in Europe. He is being shipped to Australia to stand stud. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to race again. So you've got to think they've primed this horse for this race.
Get that money up for the stud fees.
Yes. And black type doesn't hurt any in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm looking at the horse, and I think you got to watch the odds, but I think really the trainer owner, this was their targeted race. Mm-hmm. The horse has certainly got the ability to run a good race here, and I would be very surprised if it doesn't hit the first 3 spots.
So that's the number 6 horse, Lucky
Number
Vega.
6, yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, for me, I have number 8, Mostahadov, or whatever his name is. I'm not big on pronunciations, but that's a 9-2 horse. He's going to be post position 1. Is that good or a bad thing, or a not a matter thing over there?
For the mile race, they're going to start in the middle, so it really will depend on if the horse likes racing on the outside. We find that in American quarter horse racing. If the 8 post is the outside one, sometimes that really favors because they don't have all the nonsense going on the inside.
Yeah, no traffic.
Yeah, and in European racing, that can be the case too. It just depends on, does the horse need that competitive horses around them to get going, or can it get out and become very comfortable sitting out there on the outside? And then depending on how the race dictates how it's going to be run, do they bunch up? Do they whatever? But remember, this is a mile race,
right? And he's won 3 in a row. Second start off a break again. Probably not a big thing over there, but it's also a trainer that you've brought up a couple times, Gostin. So I'm taking it he's a good trainer. So I imagine he's got to have a good horse here.
Good trainer. This horse was considered for the English Derby. They decided they entered it, but they did not. They decided this is the better spot for the horse.
All right. And I'm in agreement with you, and Highland Avenue is my second pick. Horse has never been beaten by more than a half a length, and that was last time out to my top pick. So, they can maybe flip around this time around. Number 11, Poetic Flair. This horse probably going to end up being the favorite, do you think?
Yeah, but it really ran a race last time out. I mean, it was just not one of its better efforts. So it's going to have to bounce back, or is it regressing? I personally threw it out. I did not feel that horse was one that I was really excited about.
All right, now I'm going to pull my best Tom with my last pick here. I'm going with the 2-horse Bullis as 20-1 morning line. The horse that is it's never run a bad race. 5 quality races and 5 starts. 3rd time off a layoff. I know this horse is stepping way up in class, but did finish 3rd to my top 2 picks last time out. So if it finishes 3rd again at 20-1 in a deep field, I would suspect that it
good each way bet.
And it's got 2 runs at the distance with a 2nd and a 3rd. So hopefully Ralph Beckett and Hector Crouch are a good combination and are a good combination to fatten the tickets at the end. I hope he wins because then I can take over that international title.
You never know. Anything. These are all interesting races because we do have these huge favorites in some of them, and then we have this one, which is. Yeah, there's some favorites here, but you're going to see okay odds, I think, up and down. I mean, even in the favorite areas, I think there's just enough horses, and you mentioned a couple of them, and I have 2 that are going to get bet. But they're not going to get bet where we're going to see, 1 to 5 type of horse.
Maybe except for the first race, right?
That one, yes. Already, I mean, the numbers I've seen are 4 to 5. I can see that dropping.
So in terms of like here in the Kentucky Derby or the Breeders' Cup or any of those other big races, the money pools get really, really swollen, and it makes for big payouts. Are the money pools you going to feel be really, really swollen here as well? And if
Royal Ascot has a worldwide following. I mean, they're going to stay up late in Hong Kong and in Australia to watch these races, and the betting will certainly reflect that.
Fat money pools.
Oh yeah, you'll see some and you'll see it in this country too. I think people, because MSNBC has been putting the ITV coverage on and other things, there's been more interest. And let's face it, if you're at home and it's a Tuesday morning, why not?
What else you got to do?
Yeah, watch the races and have
and then watch Tom and I.
That's up to you. It's not for me at that hour, but I do certainly. I get up early and watch the English Premier League frequently, and I also like to watch the races in the morning. And this is a great opportunity to see some really good horses running in some very good races.
And like you said, with the Breeders' Cup, the next real big thing here in terms of, a couple of days of racing events where all the best in the world get together. It's good to know some of these international horses because that's a big hole in most people's handicapping on those days. And then you miss out on a horse what was the name of the Australian horse?
Order of Australia.
Order of Australia that won the Breeders' Cup Mile. So we don't want to miss out on those if we don't have to. And by paying more attention to the international racing, and depending upon the feedback we get from you, if you like it and you want us to do more of it, I think Tom is more than glad to help us.
I went 2 for 3 in Australia at Eagle Farms Racing. So it was 2 short price horses, but yeah, I like winning.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're here for. To try to, I've come up with a new saying. I don't want to be perfect. Of course, I'd like to be perfect, but in horse racing, being perfect is impossible. But the one thing I want to make sure that the people who watch us and follow us to know is that you're prepared. because if you're prepared, then you can play the right probabilities and hopefully make some winning bets. So that's really the name of the game, and that's what we're trying to bring to you here at Horse Racing Radar. So what we'll do is, I said, Tom has been kind enough to provide his picks for every race. He is our go-to international expert at horseracingradar.com. You will find this video. You will find the recorded video from YouTube. You will also find Tom's picks. I will also put my picks in there as well. And then we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. And we'll be covering, I think, 4 races tomorrow again, right?
Yes, we have 4 more to go. Each day, they actually used to be 6 races at Royal Ascot each day. Last year, they added races because of the COVID and give opportunities. This year, every day is going to be 7 races. So they added an extra race to the card, and gives opportunities to a lot of trainers. I wouldn't mind saying, I want, as an owner or a trainer, I wanted Royal Ascot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that would be, it's just like probably a lot of trainers running the Kentucky Derby, even if they don't have a chance to win, they don't feel it. So we'll be back tomorrow. And then when we come back tomorrow, Tom and I are going to be, unlike many other folks in this business, we're going to be held accountable. We're going to look back at our picks. Yes.
We will know what happened already.
Yes. So we'll start off our show tomorrow with a recap of how we did. And hopefully,
or didn't do.
Oh no, we're going to do well, Tom. There's, at the very minimum, I'll have some beginner's luck. If not, we'll be able to rely on your international expertise.
Well, hopefully that 20-1 shot will be your beginner's luck.
One of those 2 angles will definitely be in play tomorrow. All right, folks, that's it for us for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button down there. That way, when we go live tomorrow, you get the ding, you know we're there, and you can follow us. Of course, we have our regular Thursday night show. We'll have on a jockey. I think his name is Chris Hill, but I'm not 100% sure. Sean's still putting that together. And then we'll highlight our race of the week, Sean and I, later on.
Oh, Stephen Foster.
Stephen Foster this weekend?
Yeah.
Then that race we'll be covering, because I think it's a Breeders' Cup qualifier too.
Yeah,
So it's a win and you're in. So Sean and I will definitely be doing all the win and you're in Breeders' Cup races. Until then, good luck at the races, everybody.